Hello and welcome to Raymies Garage. A wee job to be done today or in the next couple of days is due to this puddle down here. So what we've got is, I can't really believe it, the coolant pipes in behind the fuel tank are leaking. I can't believe we haven't done that when we had the fuel tank off. So I'm on my own today. His apprentice Pat hasn't turned up for work this morning because he's got a bit of sickness and diarrhea, but that's what the challenge is. I've got a better look at that, although it's been sitting overnight. There's the pool of water or coolant that needs to be fixed, and the plan is get it up, get the fuel tank back out and fix the pipes. So the pipes I'm talking about, we've probably seen in the previous video when we removed the fuel tank, and I'll put a link in the description or up here somewhere that you can actually see when we took the fuel tank out and actually looked at the pipes and commented on about the brackets being rusted. So let's go on with it. Right, so we'll get under and get our first look at this. So if you're looking at the car, and that light's annoying, this is obviously the right hand side of the car if you're driving it. A fuel tank, and we've got the coolant pipes that run along here. You can maybe see them up there, but the bit it's leaking, I'll just move that up there, is up here. And you'll be able to see a small drip of coolant about to drip off there. See if I can get a better light up there for that. So there it's there. And you can see the access is not great. I mean, just try to see if there's any way we could avoid doing this. I'll avoid taking the tank off to repair that. It's right in that join there. You'll see the pipes running. That's the side step bracket we're at here. Yeah, it's dripped in my head. Yeah, I don't think there's an option. Let me have a look. And also that one up to there, it doesn't look great either. Yeah, it does. So, after having a think about this and a look, I think it would just be worthwhile. What do you think, Mr. Spock? I think it'd just be worthwhile taking the tank back down and fixing any pipes we can see in there. So, I'll see how long this takes me this time, since I've had it off before. The fuel tank's empty this time, by the way, and we've got about 9:15 in the morning, and we'll see how we go on throughout the day. But we'll get the exhaust off first, or all under trays, try and take the exhaust off, try and take the drive shaft off, then we'll have a look at the tank. So this is where we're at so far. We've got the exhaust off. Oh look, big plane. Anyway, we've got the exhaust off. The time's now, let me look at the clock, about 12:30. I've got the bolts off the drive shaft. I probably spent most of my time trying to get this side of the exhaust off. It's a bit of a pain, to be honest with you. But we're getting there. But I did have to go to work for a wee hour or two there, so done not bad. We're just going to take the drive shaft out. Hopefully that will come out easier than it did the last time. And I'll then start thinking about getting the tank off. So there we are, done. Tank's out. Time's about 2:30, 3 o'clock. So anyway, we've got the tank out, I've got it sitting here, and this gives you much better access to figure out what's going wrong here. So I'm just going to try and illuminate that a bit better. And there is where the leak, right at that point there. You can see I put some copper grease on there for the last time I was in, but when you're working with these pipes, getting that fuel tank out makes it much more accessible. and I'll have a good look round. So these pipes are coming from the front, right round all the way over to over here. Anyway, and that's, you can see the back seat up there. So I don't know if I showed in the last video about how you remove the back seat and you can get access to disconnect these cables, bits and pieces, and there's some on top of the tank. If you can see that, where the fuel pump is. But actually, the drive shaft coupling come off no problem, because it's covered in copper grease, because I put it in there the last time. So that was fairly straightforward. I remember a good few hours at that last time trying to get that off. But looking at the pipes a wee bit closer, that doesn't look great up there. Now, I don't know, I'll need to go and look. I'm trying to hold it in one hand. I think that is just a cover. That is a pipe, but that looks like a join there. I might be wrong, I'm not sure. I'll need to go and have a look. But look at the corrosion in there. See that? Look at that. And I'm not sure if someone's been here before or if that was me that put them on there the last time. I would probably guess me. But anyway, we'll have a wee bit of research. What's in behind here? We'll need to figure out a way to drain all the coolant, because that's going to be a bit of a pain, so it is. If there's an easy way to do that without draining the whole engine, it means I have to vacuum fill all that again. And remember the last time I had everything put back. Let me turn it off a wee bit, and this bracket here was stripped. The light's facing the wrong way. So that was stripped there, so that's probably creating a wee vibration, which doesn't help the pipes moving about. I don't think these are coolant pipes, I think they're AC pipes. Or I might be mistaken. This side looks actually okay. But, yeah. And I think it's just because of where it is, it's just exposed. But let me go and do a bit of research here, and then we'll come back to see how we're going to repair that. I'm not sure we can get the brackets. If not, I might manufacture some brackets just to put up there. But that doesn't look promising. All that gunge up there. All that corrosion. Right, okay. Let's move on. So I'm going to take these wee Torx brackets off. I think they're Torx, it's a wee bigger than that one, Ramondo. Just to see what it's like behind these pipes. You believe that? That's just broke that Torx bit. Oh, for God's sake. A Torx socket this time. But it's not even that tight. There it is. Now, I think that's actually a clamp over the pipe. I don't have anything to hand to try and wedge that open. I think that's just a clamp over the pipe, but you can see that one. There you go. It's totally corroded. You can see what's happening in behind here, it's corroding that. Now, I do believe these are just sleeves. That's the actual pipe there. Sorry, the rubber pipe is here. That's just a cover to protect it if you hit me on the subframe. But you can see, I think it's just the placement of this in the car is obviously getting water and debris up in here, because I've looked along at the other side, just under the driver's door, and they're brand new. So I think that just stays there. That. But what's worrying is, there's that crack in it. Let me see, can't see it. I'll need to go and get a screwdriver. It's definitely coming from here, you can see all the water. And I was hoping that would open up. But I think that's a connection, that's a connection, that's a straight piece of pipe. And that is a connection, then a straight piece of pipe. So what's worrying about it is, if it's actually cracked the pipe, then I need to buy a whole new piece of pipe, take all the the air tank out to put a new bit of pipe in from that point there to the next point back, which is a good bit by the passenger, front passenger door. So let me go and see if I can pop that off and see if we can see what's in behind there. Right, I just can't really see. I think it's one piece. It's really hard to see the rust. You can see it's still actually leaking. It doesn't tend to leak much when the car's not running, obviously, but the minute I come back from any driving, is there a pool of coolant below it as well, I mean blood. Yeah, I don't think that actually comes off the pipe. Although, we will need to get that off there. So we will. I think that's a fixed bracket. No, it might be wrong, I might be wrong. Looks as if it splits up here. See it? There you go. I'll get that out. So it does actually split. Hopefully I've got that in view. It does actually split, but look at the corrosion in here. Yeah, it's just a bit of rubber. That's all that is. And it's to protect the pipe from hitting the body here and rattling about. I'm assuming that's what it's for. But it's definitely crusty in there. I don't know if I can move the whole thing along. I think I'd rather try and move it along. Let's see. Just separate them. Look, joined together. Are they joined together because they're just stuck, or are they designed to be joined together? I think that's, looks like one piece, see that? Looks like one piece of rubber. Well, probably slides off there. Right, let's see if I can slide it. There we are. Where's the coolant coming from? That's the question. Right, let's turn off. I'll try and clean this up to see if the actual leak's there, or is it here and it's running down there, or whatever. Right, cool. Back. I'm not sure if you can see that or not. There's a stream of coolant coming out of that. See it? And it's actually the pipe itself. It's got a pinhole in it. A pinhole. And it is a wee bit rusty there. Why would that get rusty there? That's incredible, isn't it? So, I'll get my bucket over and hold that. I rubbed it with wire brush and a wee bit of steel wool there to take any marks off it, but I don't think the other one, bear with me, I don't think the other pipe is leaking. Just that bottom one, and it's streaming out. So, I need to go to the drawing board and think, how do I fix that pipe? So, it does disconnect from here. Do I cut it there, get a new bit of aluminium and make a new join here? Or do I go and price up the new pipes to fit the whole thing? These ones obviously are bone dry, but if I'm going to empty the coolant, I was probably as well taking them away as well. I've taken the connections off them and see what that looks like, because I don't want to put all this back by just fixing that wee bit there and then all of a sudden we get a leak here. So we just have a think about what we're going to do, because we're in here now, and I'll not make that mistake again, to make sure that we solve this problem. But I'll try and get that stopped shortly. A wee bit of Elastoplast, that's what we'll do. Stop that leak. We're back. So after a bit of deliberation on this, because I'm not really in a hurry to fix this, I don't need the car back on the road. So I've been reading a wee bit about these pipes and how to repair them, and there was quite a few comments I've seen on other forums about actually dropping the subframe down to get into these pipes. Which I think, you probably could do that. But I've chosen to do it this way because I've had the tank off, I've had everything off, so it only took me a few hours to get everything off, and it certainly gives me much more access to these pipes. So my plan is, I'm thinking, if I can get over here and line upside down, is take this clip off here and take that bit of pipe off, because it's obviously joining from here to here, and extend that hose over to here. So I might actually cut that pipe about there, so we know the hole's in about here somewhere, is to cut that maybe as close to that hole as we can, and run a bit of hose from here all the way to there. That'll give me a chance to clean that up, and while I'm at it, I might replace this piece of hose, although that's not leaking at this moment in time. So I've managed to get some hose, which looks like that. I think this is 16mm hose. I'm assuming there's maybe a wee barb in here of some kind. So my intention basically is to put that hose up here, connect it, and we'll see how that goes. One of the other things I want to do first of all is I'm going to take this clip off. I'm going to get the coolant system pressurised to see if I can see pressure coming out here. The reason I'm doing that is because once I put the new hose on, I want to be able to pressurise the system and see if there's any leaks coming from this. I do not want to put this tank back in here again and discover another leak. So that's the plan. To empty the coolant, I've had a look. You can drain the coolant out of this car, and it's a bit of a pain. So I'm actually just going to disconnect them, see how much coolant comes out it. So that'll leave some coolant in the system rather than completely draining the whole thing, because it's a bit of a faffing about to get it all bled again, although I do have a pressure bleeder to do that. But just looking here, I can understand why you would want to drop the subframe if you've got a leak up here. I totally get that. You see pipes are coming right round to that side there. Well, that's certainly one anyway. And you can actually take that wheel arch off round there to get access to draining the pipes. Anyway, that's my plan. I'm just going to take it from that rusty part here right along to where it's leaking at the join. So let's, first of all, we'll get that off, we'll pressurise the system, and we'll see how much more that leaks, or if we can feel pressure coming out it. That's giving me an indication that when I put the new hose on, I can pressurise it and see if there's anything leaking around about this area. And then we have to make a decision on taking that hose off to see how much coolant comes out. Right, let's go on with it then. Right, the plan is, although we're still peeing out a wee bit here, is to remove that clip. There, remove that clip there. Screw on there, yeah. I'm just trying to wedge that out there so I can get a grip on it. Right. Now, that's the clip off. I'm expecting that to pour out here, so let's hope I don't get covered in coolant. There's a bit of pressure under that. My clamp's not working very well, is it? I've got another wee clamp on there, it might help. I'm not 100% sure though. There we go. Right, off it comes. No, it's not as bad as I thought. So, that's the bit there. Kind of marked. You can see the wee tiny bit of rust there. And my plan is just to cut that there. What worries me about is these barbs here. These barbs here are designed to hold that hose. And if I cut that here, there's going to be no barbs. Unless I put a wee flame on that and just put some aluminium welding or brazing rods in there and just touch it around there. I don't know how far I can bring that pipe out. It's not that far. But anyway, I'm quite happy with that because there's not a lot of coolant come out there. Lets me cut that. What I'll do is, I wonder if what I'll do is take that hose off, and what I'll do is open this to see if there's any more coolant comes out the back end of it. No, it didn't, so I could try and take that hose off here. Just need to get in behind the wee barb. There we are. I can't even get a twist on it. That's tight, that's for sure. Try and work my way around it. There we go. So that's that hose off there. Take that clip off so you can see the wee barb round there. Here. The clip goes round and clamps on. Same on that side. So the plan is with that back. Clean all that up. You can see all the rust, and I do believe that's coming for these clamps. So if I can put a hose on here, and there's where burst here, and cut that there. Good, smashing. I've got a tendency, I think, I want to leave that one alone. Then again, is it worth it? Is it worth doing it now? Because it means cutting two of these pipes here and putting a full new hose from there to there, and a new hose from here to here. Anyway, I'll go and have a think about that. These couple of wee old pipe cutters, I've had them for years. Let's get my bearings right here. So I want to go about there. Yeah, so that's where the hole is, so there you are. Would be good. This may take some time. pipe itself is actually quite thick. Aye, it's quite thick. So we're going to do a wee bit of test cut on that, and I'm going to clean that up and clean that up. Let's go and try that. So there's the piece of pipe, just to let you see. I'm trying to see where's the hole. If you actually look in there, you'll see a wee bit of coolant in there, kind of congealed, and that's where the pinhole was. You can hardly see it on that, but right about there. So what I'm trying to do here is I'm going to stick this in the vise, and I'm going to see if I can get some aluminium rods on that to see if I can make a wee collar on that. Probably not as good as that, but if I could get a wee bead round there and do that on the car, obviously. The other thought I had there was, I've got about a 15mm copper pipe, and I was just measuring, could I put a compression coupling on that, but I think it's just a wee bit too big. I think that diameter of that pipe is about 14.5 mil, and that's a wee bit smaller than that. So I don't think I could get an olive on there. But then again, if I introduce a coupling on that to join them together, we end up might have a leak once it expands and contracts, once it gets really hot. That's my worry. And my worry is when we put the pipe on that piece of pipe on the car and it expands and contracts, at least there's some kind of a grip here to hold that pipe in, or that clip in position. So let me go and get the wee brazing rods, and we'll see how successful this is. I was just having a quick look there and noticed I took this pipe off. Look how pitted that is. I wonder if I should put that in there, if you can see that. Let's see. Yeah, it's quite pitted in there. Obviously the rust is kind of eaten away, or the mild steel's kind of eaten away at the alloy, or the aluminium steel. I'm hoping that picks that up so we can see it a bit better in there. So I think that's what's causing that. Right, so I'll put you down there. So these are wee aluminium rods. Never tried them before, don't know how successful this will be. To see if I can make a bead around the edge of that. Well, it doesn't look great, to be honest with you. I just want to see if that's going to stay on. I can always file that down. It'll probably come off. It's not too bad, to be fair. So let me just let that cool down. The worry is obviously doing that in the car. And maybe blowing a hole through the pipe, which, there you go, straight back off again. Complete and utter rubbish. I wonder if I need to heat that up a bit more. Right, so abandon the idea of putting an aluminium bead on that. I'm just going to try and dry some of this up now. So my plan is to try and get that a bit more cleaner than it is. I suppose I could take this full off now. It's more so up here, I think, isn't it? Right, so I've put some coolant in. I've got the hoses on, and we'll have a look at that in a minute. So I'm just going to see if I can put a wee bit of pressure in here. Then we'll go underneath and see if my new hose is holding pressure. Expect this to stay at that pressure. It will drop slightly. Try and take it up to maybe 3/4 of a bar. Right, okay, so it's about 10 psi. It will drop slightly. At least there's some pressure in the system. We'll go under and have a look. Right, let's get the light on. So here's what I've done. I've obviously got the new hose in. At least I've got Velvet audio this time. And to try and protect the pipes, I've put bits of hoses. You'll see I've cut them there just to try and get any protection we can on the weathering of the hose. There's a bit over here as well, you'll see that. So I don't see any leaks at all. I'll just keep that pressurised now. That doesn't mean to say that it won't leak once the car's running and it's hot. But it's certainly not dripping. So we're finished. This is the final solution. I made up some aluminium brackets for that. Just wee strips of aluminium I had lying about. We've tie wrapped it up in a wee aluminium bracket for that. So the pipes are pretty solid, to be fair, so fingers crossed that does the trick. We'll be back under here, but there's not much movement in these pipes. Obviously we've got a wee bit of movement in that, as you would expect. I might reposition this tie wrap just to be around there in case the tank fills it on its way up, and I thought the same with these. I might try and just turn them round. Oh, I can do it with my finger, God. How can I do that one? It's turning round a wee fraction just to make them sit up the way out the road. But that's me done, and the next challenge is now is to get the fuel tank back in again and everything back on, and we'll get it up and running, and fingers crossed when I come back we'll have the car running and we'll be looking under here to see if there's any leaks, and we'll get it up to temperature and we'll take it from there. Well, that's me done for the day. It's getting a wee bit late in the evening. Everything's back on. Drive shaft's on, exhaust's on, all the sensors are all plugged in. I'm just about to go through the gap tool and check for any faults, but all's okay. The biggest challenge I had was these under trays, these aluminium trays that go over the top of the drive shaft. They just disintegrate. Every time you put a wee 10mm bolt in them, boom, they just go, end up with big holes everywhere. In fact, if you take my daughters off a revoke there recently, let's have a wee look at this. This is the kind of thing I'm talking about. Look at that. That's supposed to be a 10mm, a couple of millimetre hole. That. So the ones on the Range Rover are much the same, and they just faulty bits after a while. But anyway, we managed to secure it to save any rattles. Car's just running now. We've still got a low coolant temperature, or a low coolant warning. And we'll get that bled properly. Got all the heating on, get up to maximum. Anyway, I've never seen the low coolant warning there, did you? Must be away. I did top it up earlier, but we'll keep our eye on that. All the heating's on, so that's us. Covered the baffle there to get the fuel tank on. Apprentice Pat helped me with that. But that's us for this video, guys. Hope you liked it. Please like and subscribe, makes a huge difference for us, and really appreciate it. And please leave any comments that we can answer for you. So thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one. Cheers for now.